I
Mhm.
was blown away on how much business you give away. If you help them get an IV, they're going to call you again the next time they need an IV. There's no shortcuts, guys. There's no quick solution besides just taking care of people.
Hey, can I get you booked? And they're like, well, no, I wanted to ask some questions. I want to speak to you and find out.
So I'm gonna jump back in a second to tactical marketing today, but guys, I actually got to help Jonny. I did some consulting for the company and built their dispatch systems. And being on the back end, I
Mhm.
was blown away on how much business you give away. And it's funny because I got to watch these patients, their journeys. And I think the thing that you said to me that really hit was like, if you help them get an IV, they're going to call you again the next time they need an IV. They don't care who showed up and what happened. They knew I called this number and I got taken care of. But I know so many people, even as you're saying this, the thought of calling another company would they get all insecure and cringy. And it's like, guys, the goal is to help people. And I don't know, it's been crazy to watch you be so successful doing what everyone would say is bad business by giving business away, but like you take care of the patient and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again. So at first it is scary. And my previous partner that I worked with, they didn't like to give away any calls. They'd just be like, no, like we don't have any coverage. And they just send them on their way. They're going to find that other company and be like, and have a negative feeling about your company. So I'd rather them be taken care of, happy. They may stay with that provider. That's okay. If they stay with that company, it's okay. They're going to get taken care of, and everybody's going to choose who they work with. So, I mean, you can't really control that, but if you can give them a little bit of something that's good and positive, then they could come back, like you're saying, and most of them do. And even if they're a regular patient of ours, they still come back. A lot of people, they're like, no, I don't want to go to another company. I'd rather just wait for you guys. And they're like, well, we can't do it today. And they're like, all right, fine, I'll go to that other company. And usually those other companies that we work with, we make sure that they're not going to be doing the same thing. We have an understanding that if I send a patient to you, for instance, and then you're like, oh yeah, I can take that patient, and then you're like, you offer that patient tomorrow's time, then that kind of severs our relationship, because that's like, we could have done that. We're good with doing that. But if you can't take care of them that day, that just shows poor customer service right there as well. And we get called by the patient afterwards and say like, hey, they offered us the same thing that you guys offered us. Because we'll always do that first. We're like, are you okay with tomorrow? Because some people don't need it that day, but we want to get them taken care of as soon as possible. But that does definitely happen.
Well, guys, something else I just want to, I want to say, and it's so funny that Jonny can agree with this. There's no shortcuts, guys. So I don't know if you guys heard, Jonny has 22 dispatchers. Now, we have a tech company, we have AI, we have all this stuff. There is something to be said, even with automations and all the things we do. I just said this on a coaching call last hour. You are taking care of someone medically. If your mom had cancer and you called 4 clinics that were all world renowned, and one clinic actually picked up the phone, listened to you, asked questions, cared about you, which one would you pick? And I know I've heard so many people just in conversations with Jonny at conferences saying, well, we can't afford to have dispatchers. This isn't. When you take care of them, because you're not only taking care of the patient, you have to take care of your providers. And that's
Yeah.
a lot of work. And I think that's where a lot of people try to get to where Jonny is and then realize it's not easy. I've worked the dispatch for them a few times, but to have good people taking care of your patients and your providers, it will pay dividends. And there's no shortcut on that. Like you can try to automate it. You can try, trust me, I tried to build a system for Jonny. We went down that path. Like there's no quick solution besides just taking care of people.
And this is a different industry too. It's not like, a plumbing company or something like that. This is a medical service that you're providing. So speaking to a human and not doing so much automated stuff. If somebody calls into your system and you text them back, I think that's poor form. I think if they contact you through text them back. That's totally fine. If they have questions though, and they want to call you and you text them back and you're like, hey, can I get you booked? And they're like, well, no, I wanted to ask some questions. I want to speak to you and find out, because like you're saying, my mom is sick. I want to take care of her. They're going to protect their family member, and they want to speak to somebody. So that's why we heavily invest in our dispatch team, and we continue to do so. And we've had opportunities to do a lot of AI, and there is a use for that. There is a case for that for sure. But I want it to be as personable as possible, because we are coming into their home with their family, with their animals, taking care of them and sticking a needle in their arm. Like, you're doing a medical service still. It's still IV therapy isn't like the hospital or anything like that. But you still are doing a medical service. So you got to be able to talk with them and spend the time with them as well, to answer those questions and whatnot.
I will say, and guys, this is for everyone watching. So one of the things that I love to do is I love to go into existing businesses and add tweaks in marketing systems to come in line with my brand, but also like conversions. So to that point, I will say, and I'm going to give away the secret sauce here because I was on that for a while. One of the things we did build to automate and help their system was when someone opted into their website, we would send them a video, and it felt very personal. For a long time, it was me, and I was getting people like, Justin, are you working in Texas now? But now it's their team. But just saying, hey, we're so excited we saw you opt in. Here's what's going to happen next. Giving them that, here's the journey. We're going to come out. We're going to bring a provider out there. They're going to do this. That is where there's an opportunity where you can make automations, kind of to Johnny's point, tie in with the brand and the feel you have. But if it's a standard EMR of like, your appointment is at 1600, tomorrow at 2 p.m., be there, confirm yes with a Y, like that's different. And so you can create systems that are automated that still give a feel and experience. Like that's the thing, it's an experience of customer patient care.
Yep. And then if they do have those questions, you can kind of give them that education beforehand as well. If somebody calls in, they're like, I just need normal saline for myself because I'm hungover, for instance, a miscalculation of adult beverages is what we call it, because it's never intentional to get that way. But so if they're calling in to ask for just fluids because they heard that their buddy worked at the fire department and he just gets a bag of saline and he's good to go. Obviously, there's a little bit more that goes into that. You can offer them glutathione. You can explain the benefits of that. And our dispatchers know that as well, to kind of throw that out there. Not saying that you need to upsell. We don't like upselling. We don't like that term. But to provide that education that Zofran will help with your nausea. Toradol will help with those body aches and headache. So there's other things that you can kind of throw out there in a dispatch form rather than just automatically doing everything and assigning the call. Then when the provider gets out there, they already know, hey, they're probably going to offer me Toradol. I already heard that once, so now I'm going to hear it again. It's probably going to work. And, looking at our dispatch team like that as kind of a stepping stone towards that process of getting them taken care of the best way possible. Because we've had complaints, somebody will call in, they'll get a normal bag of saline, and then they'll get it done and they're like, I still feel terrible. And we're like, well, did we offer you the other medications to kind of help you? Because you do need a little bit more than just fluids at times. So that helps a whole lot to kind of put that into their mindset to where they can continue on to grow that.